Hello, hello, and welcome back. Oh, guys, we're back again with another very important conversation. But before we get into this, Dean, hey, how are you?
Hi Esther, how are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. Really, really good. Just nice and lovely Saturday, just relaxed and yeah. So I'm very good. We've got a very special guest with us, and this is going to be exciting. So, Raj, call me atheist. Hey, and how are you?
Hi guys, I'm good. I'm having my cup of coffee and
Oh,
it's
yes.
midnight here or past midnight. So
Oh,
that's all right. Coffee keeps me awake.
oh my goodness. Past midnight. Gosh, thank you. Thanks for being here. But let's I'm going to introduce the topic and then we get started. So guys, as you can see on the title, it says the religious influence in India. This is a conversation that I, for one, I really would love to learn and, get to know about. And I'm sure, Dean, the same for yourself
Mm,
too.
mm, mm.
And we
Yes,
have
definitely.
Raj here who is going to help us getting into this conversation. So brace yourselves, guys. We're going to find out
You're gonna
about
learn some stuff.
exactly. Brace yourselves, and off we go.
Hi guys. Thanks.
Yes, welcome back again, and we're going to get Raj. Raj, you're going to get started, yes?
Yes. Hi. Thanks for having me. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be here. This is my first time doing it, so I don't know if I'll do it justice, but you start somewhere. So
Yes.
that's all good. Um, the religious influence in India, I think everyone in India has touched religion. It's not like I've never heard about a god and stuff. In fact, I would say in India, you don't hear about an atheist. In some movies, I remember that like growing up, the word for atheist is nastic in Hindi, and
Mm,
somebody in a movie would use it, say nastic, and you would just think these are the people who are just lunatics, right? And because they don't believe in a god, like who doesn't believe in a god? Like even your nan or your cat believe in a god, and these people just deny. It's just ridiculous. And this is what my upbringing was. I've since becoming an atheist, for the first time that some of my very good friend told me that he doesn't believe in a god, and I'm like, you're kidding, right? Like, and I said, God is everywhere, and why would you not, he can hear you, so why would you do that? It's just, and he's like, no, I'm serious. I'm like, dude, you don't have to make fun of God, right?
mm.
And because he can hear your thoughts and stuff, so just beware. And but coming back to the topic, in India, what happens is when you are born in a religion. So in my family is Hindu, that's why I was Hindu. It wasn't that I chose Hinduism. Like in the Western world, I've heard like you are born again Christian or you bring Jesus into your heart or something like that,
Mm, mm,
which
mm.
is a distinction I thought in India. I don't say like I've started believing in God or I brought it in my heart. I'm just default Hindu because I was born in a
Mm,
Hindu family.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was born in if I'm born in a Muslim family, I'm a Muslim. So basically, wherever egg you came out of, that's what it is. And I thought this was a main distinction before we proceed. And yeah, so I call myself an ex-Hindu, which, not often, because I don't really care about the labels. And the only reason I call myself atheist is just it's easy and it's catchy. I think it's catchy, and that's about it. The other major influence that I've noticed growing up is marriages. So a lot of people in India, so if in my family, well, in India, arranged marriages are famous, right? And there's pros and cons of it, but, I won't go into much detail with that. But in my family, if my parents are looking for my soulmate, for lack of a better word, they will look for a Hindu girl, preferably. And then there is different castes, and whichever caste I belong in.
I was going to ask you about the caste. Apparently there are 4 different castes that
Dean, hang on. Before we get into the conversation of caste, yes, I know that's a big conversation there. Why are your parents looking for a wife for you? And why can't you look for your own wife for yourself? I mean, is that like a tradition? Is that something? Because I've heard about arranged marriages. Yeah, but is that how it's done?
Yes. Growing up, I don't know anyone who would have had a love marriage apart from my uncle. And when that happened, it was a big kerfuffle in the family. It's like, what are you doing? Love marriage isn't a thing. So
it's all a transaction, basically. It's transactional. What people can bring to the relationship in terms of status and all of that, I guess.
I don't like using that word, but they do. It feels like you're advertising your child to the market, and like this is what my child brings to the table. Is for guys, it's mostly like they don't care about how the guy looks, by the way, and they care about the guy earns money, good money, in a reputable
how old he is, it doesn't matter either.
In some cases, it does. It depends on which girl you're looking for, right? If the girl is from the village, and they're from a poor family relatively, then it doesn't really matter. It weighs in. It's like you're trying to get the best bet from the other party. And I know it's sad and it's weird from the Western eyes, but this is what it is. And that's why now I think I can't do arranged marriage, knowing what I know about myself, because my parents, even though they think they know a lot more about me, but I would say that I've outgrown them a little bit, because I live in a different city to them. And, it helps when you are exposed to other things. And the other reason why arranged marriage is, which I think is because children don't really leave their parents. So if I'm a boy, generally a girl marry into our family, and you still stay with your parents. And that's why there's many jokes on poor mother-in-laws and, daughter-in-laws and all that stuff. That's just the culture. I think it's shifting with my generation and the younger generation, that there is, more acceptance towards love marriage.
Right.
My cousin recently got, married in a love marriage.
Oh, nice.
And but it was it was a riot in the family. It's like, what is she doing and all that.
But this is, this is something that strikes me as very strange, because when I look at movies and popular culture in, what we see from India, it's all about these epic love songs, people falling head over heels.
Yes, and the singing and the dancing.
In popular
beautiful
media.
colors. It's beautiful. Wow.
Yes, exactly. Like Bollywood produced the most amount of romantic movies combined, I think, all over the planet.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, there aren't many. Well, arranged marriage ratio is a lot bigger than the love marriage.
Right,
It is
right.
growing. It feels like it's growing, but I would say, like, if I have 30 cousins, and which I probably have, then they're not gonna, like, I just know one person who's done love marriage.
Right.
The other person who tried to was shot down because he wasn't making enough, and parents had more of a leeway because he was still living with parents, and that's where it comes down to. And that's what happens. And we write the love songs. It's always about a girl and a boy in love, or a girl leaving a guy, or a boy leaving a guy, or anything. But when it comes down to the practicality of it, that's just not there.
And does this influence come from religion specifically? This idea to arrange marriages, is there a religious aspect to it, or is it a cultural phenomenon?
I can't say it for sure. I'll think it's a cultural one, because the religious aspect is when you're finding a bride or a bridegroom. That's when the religion comes in. But I think finding or doing an arranged marriage is, like, I've seen Muslim families, doing an arranged marriage. I've seen Hindu families doing it. I've seen Sikh families doing an arranged marriage. You hardly hear about a love marriage, and you would hear a love marriage because it's just like a breaking news in the society, really. So that's what happened. This because a lot of women still are housewives and they don't work. So this is what they share about, basically.
Can I just ask? Okay, when I was growing up, I grew up in Africa. Grew up in Nigeria, and so the predominant religions, there are two predominant religions, Islam and Christianity. I grew up in Christianity. Yeah. In Christianity, they believe that they have the right religion and that's it. Anyone else has got it wrong and is on the way to hell. Whether it doesn't matter who you are, what you believe or don't believe, you're on your way to hell. And it was something that used to happen a lot. India was always, for some reason, a huge subject when it came to the preachers, the pastors, when they're talking, right? And the thing they would always say is, oh, look at the people in India. They worship so many gods, but we worship just the one true creator, right? Now, as far as they're concerned, the Indian people, because they have all this mishmash of gods, so they definitely have it wrong. So my question to you is, how many religions would you say are in India? Or what are the predominant ones? I know there probably is a lot, but what are the major ones?
Well, the dominant one is definitely Hinduism. I would say Islam is second, or Muslims. The third one I would say is Sikhism, and then there is a lot of different sects because Christianity maybe. India is a big country with different.
Yes,
it's almost like when you go to a different state, then it's a different culture and religion and all that stuff. So I don't know if Christianity would be the fourth one because it is predominant in the south part of India or the middle or somewhere. But I'm from the north, so I hardly see any Christians. I just know two of my friends who were Christians.
Wow.
And the only reason I know about that because they had an English name.
Interesting.
That's about it. But they would, and we never really cared. While we were playing together, we never really cared about which religion were you. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and then I was going to ask you, in terms of how religion influences daily life in India, is it, from start to finish, or is it a mild influence, or what kind of an impact does religion have on the day-to-day person's life?
It's a very strong influence, I would say. Depending on, well, I'm just going to talk about Hinduism and a bit of Sikhism and Christianity, because this is what I know mainly about.
Sure.
I did have Muslim friends. But I would say it's a strong influence.
Yeah.
The reason which, with coming back to marriage, there is a matrimonial site called shadi.com. Shadi means marriage. Shadi is a Hindi word for marriage.
Shadi?
Yes, S-H-A-D-I.
I think I'll be off there to go and find me a husband then. Shadi.
So, because I was looking at it yesterday and like, oh well, I better prepare something for the conversation.
Oh, nice.
If you just look at the homepage of shadi.com, and it's not shady, but different meaning.
Not slim shady.
No.
Right.
So just on the homepage, there is a column for like religion, which religious person you want: Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, Buddhist, Jain. Then there is like in the middle there is caste, like which caste you want, because there is like Agarwal and Arora and Brahmin and Gupta. That's all. Some are Punjabi or Sikh caste and some are the other one. And then there is a state column as well. And basically when you put an advertisement for your child, generally parents put the advertisements. Hardly any person would put an ad for themselves. Right. It's like Tinder for parents, but parents are not matching with each other, they're matching their children. But it's like
children.
So it's, how when you're wanting to find a job on job sites, you go for like, okay, this is my trade, IT is my trade, and then I want to be a server person, and then I want to be, this is the job and stuff.
Yeah.
You get down to it, and some of the matrimonial advertisements are hilarious. There was like so the groom is like groom 5'7" or 5'10" or whatever, tall, dark, handsome, earns decent salary, works in a multinational company, and these are the classifieds in the newspaper, and require a good Jain girl or a Hindu girl with this caste, and because even in Hinduism there's like 4 castes, and then there is a lot of subcastes. So Brahmin is a top caste, but then within Brahmin there is a lot of other sects as well, which I don't fully understand. But there are like higher pandits, and then there is like slightly lower. I don't know how it works, but it's very complicated.
And you're born into the caste that you are that you take. It's not like you can change into a different caste, right?
No, we can't. You're just born with it, basically.
Right.
And that's just it. And
what is this caste system? Is it like sects or just like something that divides? Is that a way to tell where you're from? Is that what it is?
No. Let me give you my understanding, and then Raj can give us can tell me where I'm wrong, right? So the caste that you're born in is basically like the status you have in the society that you're in. So if you would think about it in a UK context, you have your royals, which would be a caste unto their own, like their family. Then you have a worker class, and then you have the upper worker class and the lower worker class. So it's a specific identity that is afforded to you by your circumstances in the Western example, but in the Indian example, it's purely by birth.
Right.
Yes.
Is that more or less right?
It's more or less right, yes. I don't think you said anything wrong there, because if you put it that way, this is how it is. It's basically classification of humans on how high they stand in society.
Okay.
So it's not what they do. So, for example, a person who could be rich, but he could be from a lower caste. So in society, when they go to temples, a Brahmin who could be making whatever, trying hard to find polite words, isn't it? Who could be making very very less, and then still he'll be treated better from a person who's richer
Camera
than
is
that.
glitching out. Yeah, just give me a
So-
second.
Do castes marry? Can you marry from one caste with the other caste, or do they like to keep the castes within themselves?
Traditionally, yes, you have to keep the caste within yourself.
Okay.
But if there is an intercaste marriage, it becomes a big problem as well. Like, you generally want to find the person within your caste because that's a status symbol, and then you don't really want to get rid of it. If you guys watch Game of Thrones,
Mhm.
you know how there's a higher caste and then they just want to find a mate in their own caste, keep the pure blood or something. This is what it is. And have you heard about honor killing by any chance?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this happens due to caste system, or
Oh,
for
wow.
major region is the caste system. Because a person from Brahmin family or a higher caste, say a girl or a guy, find the other girl who's girl or a guy from lower caste attractive, and they try to marry. The parents, in some of the villages, they can kill their child. And this is what honor killing is, because to protect their honor, which is completely followed.
It's considered shameful to marry outside of your caste, or
Yeah, I mean, you're losing the status. It's like everybody around you is going to be like, why did your child marry into a lower caste?
yeah.
What the people anyway, I was going to say, if you're in your lower caste, you go looking for someone who is in a higher caste. Is that not supposed to be better? Is that not supposed to help your caste? But I guess
it is supposed to be better for the lower caste person, but they get more problems as well. Unless you're living in cities, and mostly the cosmopolitan cities, like New Delhi, where there's like a lot of people in there, or Mumbai or something. I think it's not as much. But when you come down to states and the villages, it's quite prevalent. And you can. This is exactly what happens, as you were saying, that wouldn't the lower caste person would want to marry to the upper caste person. This is what people frown upon, is like, how dare a lower caste person had the thought that they could be higher up. Yeah, when God has brought you in a lower caste, then you should be. So back in the day, or the traditions,
And that's completely anti-capitalist.
it's completely fine, man. This is how it works, and this is awesome. And you feel free to kill your own child, which you brought up.
wow.
I'm just remembering one thing. I was watching a documentary on Nirbhaya rape case. There was a big rape case in India, in Delhi, which made the news all over, I suppose. And the girl was raped by, I think, 6 people.
Oh.
The lawyer who represented those 6 people said if his girl goes out with a guy after 7 or 8, or any time for that matter, he will get rid of her, because to protect the honor. And the girl is just there, like in the documentary, and she's like hardly 6 or 7, I don't know, maybe 9.
No.
And I'm like, how can you just have your girl right there and say such a thing? I'm like, I find it really hard to even hit a person who I dislike, like really dislike.
Yeah.
And I just don't think I have it in me to hit someone, unless I really have no choice and I have to protect myself. And but what they were saying is like, how can you muster up the courage to, I mean, everybody get annoyed with children, right? But that doesn't mean you want to hurt them.
Kill them, no.
And that was just really unfortunate. And these are the people who are there, who's got power.
I was watching a documentary recently. Can Hindus and Muslims live? Can they live side by side? Something along those lines. and it was apparent from this video that there is a huge problem between these two religions. Is that something you can talk on?
Yes, I can talk on anything. But yes, that is right. Just a bit of background to give you in context, because it is surprising for me as well, because I grew up in a cosmopolitan city where I had friends, Hindu, Muslim, Sikhs, and Christians, and maybe a Jainism as well, and I do know a few Buddhists growing up as well. We never really talk about the caste or where they come from and all that. We just knew the first names of them. But when I went to college, people started focusing, or the students who come from different states started to focus mostly on the surname, and the surname depicts which caste or which religious group you belong to. And when I was growing up, I was taught that Hindu, Muslim, Sikhs, and we call Christians Isai, they're all brothers, there's always, there was unity in diversity growing up. And I was really proud of it, because we are so different, we have different cultures, but we bring it together, like in a festival of Diwali, which is purely Hindu festival. Everybody enjoyed. There's a festival called Dussehra, which comes 9 days before Diwali, in which is a Hindu festival again, but we used to dress up and buy like masks of Hanuman, which is if you heard of monkey god, for there's a complexity in it, but let's just call it a monkey god for now.
Okay.
And then it doesn't matter if you're Christian or a child or whatever, your Christian mother will prep you if you're doing drama in school, that you become like a Hanuman or Ram, which are the heroes and stuff. There was no diversion. I think it might be due to the rise of social media or what it is. People just think they have the right to say whatever, and or maybe there was friction before, or maybe I was a child and I didn't understand much, and then it becomes like the Hindus and Muslims are two different things. And when I was growing up, during festivals, I would go into the Muslim household during their festival because they make good food, and then some would come to our home because during festival we make good food, and as children this was it, But now when I think about Hinduism, because I still have fond memories of it, I think about calm people. So when you think about Hindutva, which is a new word introduced, I think around 2014 or just after, I think of violent people. I think of people who want to get rid of other cultures or religions from India. There's a big push about
I think that's what I understand with the Hindutva movement is that it's a form of nationalism, and we know that when nationalism goes to extreme ends, Nazi, you end up with very harmful and extremist views. Like it's a melting pot of extreme ideas when people go to that level. And I mean the word means Hindutva means Hindu, the essence of being a Hindu, isn't it?
Yes. So it's basically two words. One is Hindu and one is Tattva. Tattva is just essence or feeling. I think you explained it really well. And then this has been introduced by the new government or the new regime, it seems like. And people are all for it. I don't know why they've got so much hatred for different people just because they don't agree with you on certain things. It's just like you just want to get rid of them. They're not treating people as people. Nowadays, there's a lot of Hindu and Muslim in India. Growing up, it wasn't the case. Now, if the news come up, they don't say that a D-bag has hurt somebody else. They say a Hindu guy or a girl has hurt a Muslim guy or a girl, or vice versa. It's they label people before, like, before it was like, oh, this guy got in jail because he was being a bastard, or that sort of stuff. And nowadays it's just like a Hindu guy or a Muslim guy, or they are doing the wrong. So it's just labeling the whole religion.
Can I tell you that this problem what you're describing, it reaches very far. Recently there was fighting that went on in Leicester in the UK between Muslims and Hindus, if I am not mistaken. Hindus, Muslims, and then the Hindus said it's the Muslims, they started it. It's the Hindus said no, it's the Muslims. So these are immigrants. A lot of these are immigrants that have relocated from India many years ago. Some are third generation, second generation, right, of immigrants. So who have been born here, raised here, but because their families still have these ideals and these religions, it has now been passed on through the generations. And so even here in the UK, these people, they're fighting among themselves. There was a big fight that broke out in Leicester. Dean, did you hear about it?
I didn't know. Sorry.
It's okay. I mean, just to tell you how far the reach of these factions and the sects and different religions, even after they've left India, now here in a different country, but because they still hold on to this identity, I'm Hindu, I'm Muslim, and now the fighting carries on. Did you hear about that, Raj, in Leicester?
No, I didn't. But because this happens, I actually can believe you.
Yes.
That, because I have no reason to doubt. I hear these sort of news all over India. And unfortunately, apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
It's true.
And I can understand, like in the family when I was growing up, when you're told that, you shouldn't mingle up with girls, and when I say mingle, just be friends with girls, because just every girl around or your neighbors is just your cousin or sisters, not even like cousin or anything. By the way, in India, cousin and sister is kind of the same thing, unless you're Muslim, because in Muslim you can marry your second cousin, which was a bit weird. But anyways, so everyone in my neighborhood was my sister. So when you grow up, you don't know much about things, and you're always been frowned upon when you, like, if I am just on a street vendor and eating something, could be boiled eggs or whatever, and if the girl is next to me and I just say hello, people just make a lot of crap out of it. It could just be hello. I remember a case when one of my friend from school who used to live nearby, she came to ask for class notes from me, and my grandma, my mom's auntie, was there, and she got all offended. It's like, how can a girl come and visit you? And I felt really embarrassed, and I don't even know what I did wrong, but at that point I felt like I've done really wrong.
So what was the problem? Was it that the girl visited, or what was the problem with the?
I think there's an element of purity culture involved.
Right. Okay. That explains it.
Am I right, Raj?
Yeah. I mean, that is right. And you are just told to stay away from girls, because you don't let your children or have sex with each other like before your marriage. You just wanna make sure that they're married virgins. It's really hard on girls, actually. because they just the girls aren't allowed to go out after 8, and maybe in the cities they are, because I know they are. In the villages, a girl can't go out after like 7 or 8. You can go to the neighbor's home, which you're very well aware of, because in India the neighborhood is quite close, and everybody kind of knows each other really well, like even their relatives and stuff. But this is what it is it's a purity culture, exactly. That. And well, I didn't even know my PP was a multi-purpose tool until I was like 17 or 18, because you just don't hear it. Even I remember in my lecturer teaching me about reproduction in science, which was when I think I was like 15, and they mispronounced the word condom to condom, and there was a whole process about how reproduction happens. We skipped that chapter because according to the teacher it wasn't important. And then you were taught about sexually transmitted diseases, and your mainly the education is just don't have multiple partners, or just wait until your marriage, basically. Because you can have it. No idea how you can have it, but you can have it. And then there's a little bit of like, if you go to a barber, if you use a used up razor or whatever, so they don't tell us it can transfer through blood, or it can transfer through sex or whatever. It's just you can have it if you have it before marriage or something. So crazy. And because it was frowned upon due to, I think, because of religion as well, because they just tell you that God's watching and you have to follow the God standard, roughly.
Right.
And it happens so much that it's become a culture. Right. So this is at that time I used to think.
I mean, if you consider the size of India's population, it's obviously not working.
I disagree. I'll point out why I disagree.
Okay.
Because you are confined to a place until like you're 22 or 23. That's why arranged marriages, people get their children married quickly, because the girls, in the traditional way, girls should get married by 21 or 22, and the boys should get married by like 24, 25. And because they are not exposed to anything, there's all that curiosity. And there's performance from the friends and the family. It's always like, it is considered, if you don't have a child within the first year, then have you got any problems? Does it not work? There's a lot of worse words there that I can.
Are they big on having loads of children? Is that
it's reducing now. Like mostly, it's people want 2 children, but like my grandma had 9, and I think 1 passed away. That's from my dad's side, and I think on my mom's side there's about 5. So nowadays it just comes down to economics of it. Like you can't afford it, basically.
Right.
Living in cities, but in villages I would say like 3 or 4 is an average. And it's a God's gift. It's not. It doesn't happen when you have sex. It's just a God's gift. And you would not want to stop God from gifting you things. And I'm not even like making it up. This is how they say when a child is born. And look at that. It's an angel. It's God's gift to you. And at that time I used to believe, like, I was so naive about the sexual education, and I'm at 17, right? And I just thought to myself the other day, it's like one of my friend who's a girl, or not a friend but a neighbor, she's 22. Why does she have a child? And who's married? And why does this other girl who's 24, and why does she doesn't have a child? Because I was told that, children happen when God wants you to give children. It's like, why is God gifting them children earlier than the other one? I don't know, sound ridiculous, but this is what I believe.
Listen, Raj, let me tell you, I'm here sitting down and thinking, wow, the similarities with Christianity, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of things that you said that are quite similar. This idea that the purity culture, that's one. Two is, that there's the God factor, right? That is introduced into your life. And also that you're usually born into these religions. You really don't get a choice. And never mind when they tell you about you receiving Jesus Christ into your heart, right? Because some people feel like with Christianity, or you can choose Christianity when you grow up, which is a thing. It is true that you can choose to be a Christian, but if you if you were born in a predominantly Christian state or Christian nation, the chances are you will be Christian. Yes. The people who go on to accept Jesus into their heart, and the term born again, right? Mm-hmm. That's just a different sect of the Christianity. So you have the big ones. So maybe like Catholic, right? The Catholic, the Protestants. And now they are the ones that would say, I'm Catholic, but now I'm born again. And now I've gone on to go and, so it's not as if they've come into Christianity just, from nowhere. No, they were in a different sect and now just moved on to a different sect that practice lots of different practices. And so there are similarities. And so, trust me, I don't think Dean is sitting there thinking, gosh, this sounds weird. Never heard this kind. I'm sure these are things that we heard, but just in different religions, Yeah. It's interesting.
When you said the word born again, I said, I have to ask Raj about reincarnation. How does that work? How does that work?
Well, short answer, it doesn't.
But I just want to know, I must have been a housefly in my previous life.
Yeah. Well, Raymond said a funny sentence there, and well, I don't mind coming back as me actually, but anyways, I refrain. So,
if I was to choose, I would like to come back as a man and not a woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Myself, I wouldn't mind everything else, but a man.
Yeah. That's another thing that we after reincarnation, we have to ask you about the role of women in India as well, because I think it's a very patriarchal society. What I gathered, from my cursory investigation.
Are we going to talk about food, the Indian food? Listen, at some point we've got to talk about it because the British people are crazy about Indian food. I know this is not a subject about food, but my God, Raj, when you answer that question, please answer this one. Is there religion and food? Is there what's that like? Is there any sort of relationship with religion and food, or not? So sorry but yeah, we have to talk about Indian food. That's a big thing around here. Indian restaurants.
So do you want to talk about food now, or should I just
go on? Whatever you want.
We've thrown like three things at him.
Because I remember the reincarnation, and then the patriarchy of women, and then there's food. Let's start with our stomach. India has about 28 states, and my geography teacher would be mad at me because I don't remember. But every state has different food. You go and you go to Punjab, and there's specialty dishes there, and butter chicken is famous in Punjab. But let me tell you, in India, I don't think we put sugar in butter chicken. That's just wrong. It's unacceptable. and butter chicken is not actually invented by Indians. That was invented by the British in India. because they had the spices and they mellowed it down with cream, and that's just ridiculous. A butter chicken should have butter in it, not cream and sugar. I'll fight that till the day I die. And but Punjab has different cuisine. It's mostly spicy or hot. So if you go to like a restaurant, Indian restaurant, which is like butter chicken, kadhai chicken, bhuna chicken, spicy kind of dishes that you see. When I say spicy, I mean a mixture of spices rather than hot. Because a lot of people just think spicy as, hot, but spices is different spices, but not hot. And then there is other cuisines, like if you go to Haryana state, they mostly, I think, focus on like ghee and butter, like, that sort of, they do have spicy food, but I think their one is slightly mellow. And I know my Haryanvi friends going to be, what the hell? But this is what I've observed, so it's just my observation. And then you go to Rajasthan, and then they have a lot of, if you heard about the Rajasthani thali, which is a plate, and they get like, 10, 20 different dishes in small little pots. So they have that. In the state of West Bengal, the main food seems like fish, because they really like their fish. And then in Goa, it's fish as well, because it's close to the water or whatever. And you go to south, if you heard of dosa and idli and sambar and all that, that's mostly like the southern dishes.
And the North Indian cuisine is mainly where they do the tandoori foods.
It's mostly Punjabi dish. So they do it in Delhi, because Delhi have a lot of Punjabis and stuff as well. But Punjab is from...
Love tandoori food.
So now you can answer Dean's question.
Of reincarnation?
Yes, please.
So I don't fully understand the idea, but basically in Hinduism, it is believed that you want to earn moksha. Moksha is when you reach God. So when you die and you haven't collected enough karma.
But where's the karma counter?
So
there must be a karma counter somewhere that you can see.
Collecting karma.
It's in people's head, and it's subjective. And it's subjective to the point of which priest you talk to and who's nicer to you. So the nicer priest to you would be like, oh, you got enough. And basically the idea is you do enough good deeds in life, and if you are satisfied, you've done enough, but you won't know it in this life. But when you die, you go to a judge or Yamraj, which is like a Grim Reaper in Hindi.
Is there hell? Is that like a hell?
No, it's not a hell. It's like a gatekeeper to heaven or hell.
Right.
And then it's like depending on what you've been doing. So if you've been, murdering people, you either are reborn or something. I don't know the technicalities of it, because it's just too much to read. But I'm like visualizing a game, like The Sims, where there's like a karma counter above everybody's head, and for every good deed, the karma counter goes green. For every bad deed, the karma counter goes red. Yeah, I remember asking my dad when I was young that then why don't I just do good things in 1 year, and then why don't I die? Because then I'll collected enough. And then my dad said, but you never know. How do you know how you collected enough? And I'm like, well, I'm just going to do good stuff. Like I'm going to study on time.
Super good.
Yeah, I'm going to study on time. I'm going to get good marks and stuff. This is my karma counter going up. And, and then he said, no, if you die, that's a coward way out, because this life is granted you by God. And then you got to live your whole life. And that's why whenever it ends, it ends. And then whatever karma is. So basically you have to reach moksha. So if you have got enough karma, then you reach moksha, and then you don't get reborn. So the idea of moksha is you don't reborn as a human at all. But if you got less karma, then you're born again in the next life when you could be, I don't know, a pest in somebody's yard.
So
I'm going to come back as a weed.
So Raj, just to start, to start winding this down, what would you say is the dangers of the religious influence in India? What are your thoughts? What's the future going to look like with the religions in India if people don't start to ask questions and start to, figure things out? What do you see happening, or what could the dangers be, or what are the dangers right now?
That's a very interesting question. Before I answer that, just one line on the reincarnation. In Sikhism, it is believed that about after 3 million lives that you get a life of a human. In Sikhism, it's not the idea of getting to moksha. It's just like, so you should preserve your human life as much as you can.
Can I convert? Can I convert? I want to live till I'm 3 million years old.
No, it's 3 million. So if you're dead as a human, then you'll be a bug. Then you're born as a bug in the next life, and then after you squash or eaten or whatever, butterfly. Then
I take that back.
Yeah.
I take it back.
Yes. Yeah, the dog and so on. Basically, you are born in the animal.
Yeah, I have to before we move from reincarnation. I want to know, why do people, these people who remember their past lives, they will always remember the life that they spent living as a wealthy merchant. They will remember the life that they spent as a servant to the king, or, a rich, traveler or whatever. They never remember the life that they spent as a housefly eating poop. And they don't remember the life that they spend as a dog living in the streets. How does that work?
Well,
because they had the brain of an animal. They're not working in that dimension anymore. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah. I think this is because they are dreamers and they want to be that person. But they don't dream big enough because they want to be a servant of a king. I mean, why don't be a king? It doesn't make sense. So it's ridiculous. And the one very last thing on the reincarnation, in India, there was actually a scam in which there was people, this was on the news, there were people who said, if you had enough money, we take your money or half of it, we reserve it for you, and when you're born again or reincarnated again into a different life, we give you this money back. So yeah,
you
make money because a dead person's not going to come back.
Of course not.
And the family, and yeah, I don't know if somebody got scammed due to it, but that was big on news, like these people are doing this. I can conclude the dangers of religion as well, and in the patriarchy of women as well. In India, it is considered, well, they say different religions different. So in Sikhism, they say that women are equal to men, period. Right. But in practicality, it doesn't feel like it, because men is still supposed to earn and women is still supposed to live at home. And of course, in cities, it's better. But then again, India is a very big country and everybody's got subjective opinion on it. And the one that I've observed, I've seen more men working than having an equal relationship. It is considered, if a woman makes more money than a guy, it's embarrassing for a guy. And they think that women can arrange the house better. Women are good at cleaning. Women are good at cooking. I can debate because I think I've gotten better at cooking now. So, but anyways, this is just on the top line. In Hinduism, definitely women are treated lower in rank. And as I say that, I'm thinking because it's annoying. It's really annoying. And I have some friends who are girls, and then I'm like, they are way better than their husbands, and their husbands got a catch really. And then this is what happened. The other thing is, still to today's date, women are not allowed to go to temples when they are on their periods.
Okay.
So because it's still impure, the temple. Don't know how. It might make sense in the previous, when there were no sanitary pads and stuff. Like back in the day, it might make some sense. That but nowadays it's ridiculous. The other thing is dangerous. It's because of Hindutva. It feels like they have made a lot of Hindu and Muslim in India, and there's a lot of thing about Khalistan as well, which is from Sikh religion. It seems like people who don't live in Punjab or Sikhs, they want Khalistan, which is division of Punjab state away from India. And to those people, my only question is, how do you think your country is going to work when it's tied between Pakistan and India? Like, there has been enough massacre due to religion, due to the different philosophy, that Muslims and Hindus are different, and they separated the one country, India, into India and Pakistan, and then Bengal, which now is Bangladesh. Why have they done that? And there's huge amount of people that died for no good reason. The families had to flee. Like, even my grandma said well, she's no longer here, but they came from Pakistan, or they had to run. And she was like, very young, and she's remember just getting whatever and then running. And it's called loss of blood. I always used to think the religion has caused more war than peace. I just didn't realize when I was saying that how true it was, because you say things and stuff, and now there's a bit of animosity between people. It's like, you introduce yourself, hi, my name is Raj, and then somebody will say, my name is Aslam. There's a friction right there when you introduce, oh, you're a Muslim. It's just ridiculous. People have genuinely good Sikh friends, and I think in Sikhism, the food service that they do, the Khalsa that they do is awesome. It's great. And then they say, when you hear about things like, there's a big singer named Sidhu Moosewala, who's just 24 or 25, was shot dead. People on Twitter were saying that, a Khalistani has died. And I'm like, can you not be empathetic towards the family at all?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know the person personally. I used to love some of his songs because they were great. He sang about different things. He sang a song 295, and 295 is a section in India. And this is another danger of religion. If you hurt somebody's religious sentiments, then you can be jailed. And people can lodge FIR. Yesterday, I got threatened that somebody's going to lodge an FIR against me. And FIR is first information report, and which means that police can take an action without the judge. They can just, get me in and stuff. Good luck for them to find me. Don't care. But the thing is, you can actually do that, and you can get into trouble for that. And this is astonishing. Like, I could just be asking a genuine question. Why do you believe that a flying monkey had put a sun in his mouth? Not talking about the child's son. I'm talking about the sun who gives, everything.
The sky.
I've made one video about critical thinking that's in English on my channel, and I've mentioned a bit about it. Because we have time constraint, I'll just leave it there. But you're believing in that. I'm just questioning why. And you could just be like, oh, it hurts my religious sentiments, and then I have to go back. And
exactly. Who measures what the level of hurt is on your religious sentiment? Do you have to be really affronted, or is a mild discomfort, like to what level?
Yeah, I mean, it is subjective. Like, I just don't like what you say, so you hurt my religious sentiments because you said Allah in the name, you said Guru in the name, you said I don't know, freaking whatever. There's like this many gods. in Hindutva, the person who did it, the Yogi Adityanath, who's the CM of the biggest state in India, Uttar Pradesh, he's throwing milk in water and drinking cow urine. When your religion stuffs you up so much that you're doing this, it's bollocks. You gotta think about it, and this is the phrase that I use in my channel at the end of every video, or try to, is let us think, and you can call me atheist. And Call Me Atheist is my channel. And
so everyone, you're watching this, make sure to go subscribe to Call Me Atheist.
Oh, thank you. And this is what annoys me, is like, I just want to have a discourse. I don't care if you still believe in it. I always mention in the video, do not believe me, because you should do your own research. I claim that I don't know much about it, but then again, you just gotta think about it, and even if you're criticizing me, it's completely fine. At least you're critically thinking, because that's the whole idea. I don't know everything, and I will never know everything, but at least try. Like, religious influence you from start of the day to the end of the day. You start your day by praying. Then if you buy a new home, you pray. If you buy a new shop, if you go somewhere, you pray. People get in the car and then they pray, like, thank God and wish me good journey. They come back and thank God for, my journey is complete and I'm home safely. They pray from like start to end. You see a temple and you nod down or bow down. You're doing it every day. How cool it will be if you don't have to do it. I'm not saying stop doing it, but maybe for about 2 weeks, just consider there is no God. See if something changes in your life. You'll have a lot more time in your hand, that's for sure. And maybe you can utilize that time. Yes, money. It's waste. I made a video that religion wastes time and money. There's 10 videos harms of religion that I've done. And, fear, waste of time and money, discrimination, which increases a little bit of class system. It's just bollocks. And I personally think we should all think, and we can be better. We can do better. I mean, growing up in India, as I said, unity in diversity, I would love to see that back in India. We could have discourse. There was no problems. We lived together in different culture. I have friends who are Sikhs, and we never really thought about their religion. We just think, oh, their festival is cool. And when the festival comes around, we're going to go there and have good food. That was my thinking. But yeah, this is a very long-winded answer to the dangers of religion. I'm sure there's many more, and I can keep going. But yeah.
Well, Raj, we would love to, just thank you for being so generous with your time. I know it's quite late where you are. And send us send us a link to your channel and everything. We'll put it in the description of this video as well. And let's wrap it up there. Esther, final thoughts?
Well, yes, I think this is an ongoing conversation, learning about India and the religious influence that's going on, and of course the food. And if you would like more content about India, then Call Me Atheist is the place to go. But this has been wonderful, and I would love to do a part 2 with you, Call Me Atheist, at some point. So, but the producers will let us know what we're gonna do.
Awesome. I would love to have another chat, because there's no way you can finish up in an hour.
Oh no.
Exactly. It's like I said before, before we got started, we were chatting, and I said, when the Abrahamic religions were still scratching around in the dirt, like India already had a rich history of culture and religion flourishing in the Indus Valley, and and here we had people running around in the desert. Look at scratching things on tablets, so I find it fascinating first and foremost, and secondly, I think we can also, learn so much from just diversifying our points of view and encountering other cultures. So I really love that idea of unity and diversity, because in my experience, the more diverse the influences are that I encounter and that I ingest into my surroundings, the richer my life and my experience becomes. So I really appreciate the time that you took, being so late for you in your time zone.
Yes.
And we will continue this. We'll keep this conversation going. I'm sure we'll run into one another again.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me and being such a nice host and letting me talk. I do talk a lot.
You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. And my channel, Afro Atheist, make sure to follow. Dean, what's your channel?
We are the Atheist Republic in Cape Town. So, we run the South African version. We have conversations with predominantly African and women atheists, because people told us that all atheists are old white men. So we said, not a chance. We're going to find them and we're going to talk to them. And I'm telling you, every single African country that I have looked at, there's a community of atheists. People are there, they're out, they're talking about it. So, yeah, that's, just search for Atheist Republic Cape Town and you'll find our channel as well.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks. Thank you all, and see you again soon.
Thanks. Have a good one. Cheers.